although it was totally unnecessary, the shutdown is over, and thankfully after 43 days we had enough Democrats who concluded that continuing to punish the American people with an extended shutdown wasn't the right way to deal with the challenges that face our country. And so we're all very pleased that we are out of the shutdown. And of course the question now is what comes next. And I think, at least here in the Senate, we have a lot of things, as you know, we have to get done. The defense authorization bill, which has passed the Senate, is now being conferenced with the House. And when that conference is complete, we want to get that across the floor of the Senate. We have another nominations package we need to clear before the end of the year. And of course, we want to get the appropriations process moving again. It got slowed down during the shutdown, unfortunately, and as a consequence of that, we've got a lot of ground to make up. But as you all know, we did pass the 3 appropriations bills, and Milcon VA, Ag, and Ledge Branch. So 3 of the 12 are now law. And those 3 we got across the floor of the Senate before August, which is the first time that's happened since 2018. So as you all know, we are very committed to regular order on appropriations. We think that's the best way to fund the government, rather than having an omnibus bill written in the leader's office or a year-long CR. Going through a normal appropriations process where the committee marks up bills, has input from all the members on the committee, reports them to the floor, and there's an open process, transparent process on the floor, we think is the best way to fund the government. And so the challenge now is to get the next package ready to go. Starting, we've got the defense appropriations bill ready. We tried to move to that during the shutdown. The Democrats blocked it. We want to get on that. We're also trying to clear 4 other appropriations bills to put together a minibus that we could act on here in the Senate. So we're working through those holds, but I would just urge everybody who is interested in actually having the government funded through the traditional appropriations process to try and work constructively to get these bills up on the floor, to let us get on them and have an amendment process and try and process them in a way that enables us to fund the government through the appropriations process, as opposed to, as I said, either a continuing resolution or an omnibus or something like that. Those are not solutions that are good for the country, and they're certainly not good for this institution or for the House of Representatives. We want to do it the old-fashioned way. So that's what we intend to be working on over the course of the next several weeks, and I'm hopeful we'll have more progress to report.
You had a conversation during lunch about what you're going to do with this provision that allows senators to sue. Have you decided what you're going to do when the House sends that bill over to rescind that provision?
Well, we had a good conversation about that, and we'll have, I'm sure, a more fulsome conversation. Obviously, we'll see what the House does, but I will tell you that that was a Senate-specific solution. The statute that was violated applied only to the Senate, which is why we addressed it the way that we did. We strengthened that provision when it comes to allowing a federal government agency, the Justice Department in this case, to collect information, private information on individual senators. We think that's a violation of separation of powers under the Constitution. Obviously, Jack Smith violated the law in the way he went about that. This is something that needed to be addressed, and we'll see what the House does. And then we'll find out what our colleagues here in the Senate want to do. One thing I can tell you is there is a high level of interest in addressing the weaponization of the federal government, in this case the Biden Justice Department, against Article I members of our government here in the United States Senate.
Now that the Congress has passed the Epstein Files Transparency Act, overwhelming votes in both chambers, Democrats say that they think the Justice Department, Pam Bondi, may slow walk the files release, citing ongoing investigations. Would it be a mistake for the administration to hold back these files, given the overwhelming expression of sentiment by the Congress here?
Well, I trust the judgment of the Justice Department to ensure that whatever files they release protect the victims, clearly, and I think there are other items, perhaps materials that were acquired through grand jury trials that perhaps they will have to make some decisions about, but I think they'll make the right decisions. I think the clear intent was, in both the House and the Senate, and the bill now that, I don't know if the President signed it yet or not, but is to get the information out there. And I think, as you saw, there was a big vote yesterday in the House, and it was unanimous here in the Senate to do that.
Speaker Johnson said that he was blindsided about that DOJ provision allowing senators to sue. He also said he was angry about it. And then he also said he was disappointed that the Senate didn't change the Epstein bill like he demanded. Why are you and him on such different pages when it comes to these huge issues?
Well, I mean, I think there are different, obviously, having served in the House of Representatives for 6 years, I understand there are different ways of doing things. The House and the Senate function differently. We have procedures and rules that we have to adhere to and follow. It's much harder to get things, to pass things, as you all know, through the floor in the Senate. And so I think sometimes there are differences of opinion or disagreements that are partly related to the difference between the House and the Senate. They're different cultures. But in the end, the Speaker and I talk regularly. We communicate on a consistent basis, and we are unified in terms of our objectives and goals, and that is to work with the President of the United States to implement his and our agenda in a way that benefits the American people. And I think we've worked successfully to do that throughout this entire year, whether it's tax policy, energy policy, national security. You go right down the list. We have had a record of success, I think, both House and the Senate, in a unified way working together. So at times there may be, as I said, slight differences of opinion about how to proceed, how to get things done. But I think for the most part, I would say that we have an incredibly strong working relationship, and we work closely with the White House, and I think that's what's enabled a lot of the success.
Senator, the President has come out in favor of preempting state-level AI regulation. Is that something that you would support in the defense bill?
That is an issue that is being talked about in the context of the defense bill. It's a complicated issue, as you know. It did get litigated last summer on the floor of the Senate and in the House, for that matter, too. But it's complicated in the sense that there are lots of folks who believe that states ought to have some input into these things. But on the other hand, if you have states regulating an industry that operates across state lines, that also has implications for our economy. And so we've seen this before. We saw it this year earlier when we had to repeal the California waiver, which was something that was affecting 18 states and needed to be addressed. So we will take a look at how this is drafted in terms of the discussion that's being held on with the defense authorization bill to see if it is consistent with and complies with ensuring that states have some role when it comes to how companies operate within their states, but also recognizes the importance of having policies that enable interstate commerce. And artificial intelligence is going to be one of those issues, I think, it's going to explode. And so it's complicated, but I think our members are taking a hard look at how best to do that, and the President clearly has weighed in on what he would like to see happen, and will certainly take his views and give them optimum consideration.
On Russia sanctions, the White House has suggested that they're ready to go ahead. When will we see a vote on this bill? You've said that it's ready to go.
Right. I think what is more likely happens is the House originates that. It's a revenue measure, and so revenue measures originate in the House. If we had one available to us in the Senate, we could do it here. But I think, too, if you want to expedite movement of that in terms of getting it on the President's desk, it's probably quicker if it comes out of the House, comes over to us, and we're able to take it up and process it on the floor. So, but we continue to have conversations about that. The President has now weighed in support of the Russia sanctions legislation. As you know, Senator Graham has been working on this for a long time. And we want to make sure that we're doing everything we can to give the administration the tools that they need to facilitate and bring about a peaceful resolution between Russia and Ukraine. And there are many of us, I'm on that bill, who think the Russia sanctions bill is an important tool in making that happen.
And
Thank you all.
before the end of the year.
We'll see.
Lindsey Graham said that Trump signed off on